Hey guys, welcome to our interview series.
Join us as we dive into the world of STEM with inspiring interviews from industry experts.
Let's explore the innovations shaping our future one conversation at a time. I'm Sahasra, a sophomore who's been into robotics for more than 2 years.
And I'm Shakti, an eighth grader with 7 years of robotics experience.
We're the interview team for Super Sigma Robotics, and we're starting a series where we chat with STEM experts.
Our goal? To learn their journeys and inspire our community. Join us for some amazing stories and insights.
Okay, thank you so much for joining our call, Dr. Alex Hunt. We're thrilled to have you here today, and we're really excited to get to know more about what you do. Before we get started, we're going to introduce ourselves first. My name is Sahasra. I'm a sophomore, and I'm the outreach lead for this team.
My name is Dhruv. I'm an eighth grader and I go to Stoller. Also an outreach member on this team.
I'm Shakti. I'm also an eighth grader at Stoller, and I'm the team driver and I'm part of the outreach team for Super Sigma Robotics. Okay, so we're ready to head into the interview. So shall we proceed?
Excellent.
Okay, could you please introduce yourself to start? Please share what you do and provide us an overview of your role at PSU.
My name is Dr. Alex Hunt, and I am faculty or professor at Portland State University. And I teach courses in robotics and mechatronics and system dynamics. And I also do research in the area of bio-inspired and biomimetic robotics and modeling animal behavior.
That's great to know. Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
So, as a team, we had a chance to review some of your work at PSU, and it's really great. It's really interesting. But we were wondering what kind of inspired you to pursue a career in STEM?
Yeah, my dad was an engineer, and my older brother followed his engineering. They both went electrical engineering. I was always kind of good at working with stuff. I also, as a kid, loved animals, and I thought maybe I might end up being a vet someday. Kind of when I was probably about your ages, I was like, maybe engineering, maybe vet. Um, and I took a computer modeling class in high school, and I just really excelled at it and loved it. And so I was like, okay, engineering and mechanical engineering, like, and so that's what I decided to go into for college. So looked for colleges with engineering, wound up at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. And at that school, there was a bio robotics lab. And so merging both the animal and the engineering. And so I got involved in that lab and have been doing that stuff ever since.
That's
Oh,
great.
that's really great that you could incorporate both of the things that you really liked, in the same workspace. That's great.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool.
So we Super Sigma Robotics had the pleasure of visiting your lab a few months ago, and we got to see the cool project that you guys were working on, which led us to think, what projects are you guys planning on for the future, or what you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, our biggest project right now is the dog robot that you all saw. So we call it Muscle Mutt. It has artificial muscles that we're actuating, and there's dozens of problems that we're looking at trying to solve with this. One is how can we control the artificial muscles more like our own muscles are controlled, which is very different from how motors are controlled. Right? You tell a motor to spin a certain number of degrees, right, or turn on at a certain power, versus muscles, we're just kind of telling them to contract, and maybe contract tighter. And we use motor neurons to activate them. And so muscles can only pull, they can't push. And so you got to coordinate. And you're doing things like thinking about joint angles as well as force. And all of this is just kind of going on in your nervous system without you having to think about it. So
A quick,
Um,
is there a reason that you picked like out of all like just a dog, or was it just like you wanted an animal, so you chose a dog?
yeah,
Was there a reason?
the dog is like the perfect robot size for the artificial muscles.
Yeah.
Anything smaller and the artificial muscles don't really work very well, at least the ones that we're using. There are other types of artificial muscles that actually do work on a smaller scale better. Um, and so it works really well. Kind of, and anything bigger becomes like a whole lot harder. You need a lot more force and those sorts of things.
Wait, so when we visited you at the lab, wait, what were you guys using? Were you guys using like a pressure sort of
Yeah. So the artificial muscles are like they're called braided pneumatic actuators.
Mhm.
And so the braid is like a finger trap with a balloon in it then. And so you blow up the balloon, the whole thing gets fatter, and as it gets fatter, it gets shorter.
Mhm.
And so that works very much like our own muscles, right? They get fatter and shorter.
Very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just curious, how many people are working in your lab currently?
yeah, we have about a dozen students.
Mhm.
So we've got 5 or so PhD students, an equal amount of master's students, and a few undergraduate students.
That's
Very
nice.
nice.
We wanted to know in your words, what do you think are some challenging aspects of your job at PSU?
Hmm. Um, the biggest challenge is balancing everything.
Yeah.
Um, there's just always so much to do with teaching and research and student mentorship. Um, and I want to do it all, but um, you can only spend so much time in each area. So, um, yeah, and kind of beyond just balancing things like that, kind of the day-to-day stuff, it's a challenge to help guide students um, and getting them to learn to develop their own answers without giving them the answers,
Yeah.
right? And so, as a teacher, in both the research lab and in a classroom context, right? I can just tell you all the answers and tell you to memorize stuff, but that doesn't work very well in engineering, right? The problems are always different. And so you have to learn the process of problem solving, which can be, it's a step more difficult than just memorizing things.
Yeah.
And,
Do
and
you enjoy teaching students?
yeah,
That's great.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would love to start like a professional STEM career. What would your recommendations be for like skills or qualifications that you'd need to have a successful career in STEM? And like how would you kind of go about learning those skills?
yeah, I think to have a successful career in STEM, um, some of the biggest skills you want to learn in high school is math. And just the stronger the math background you have going into college, I think the more successful you'll be at your initial courses. Um, and then you you also want teamwork skills. If you try to approach a STEM degree all by yourself and you like get your books and you go off into a corner and try to learn everything, you're not going to be successful. You need kind of teamwork, you need to be collaborative. You need to find people that you can work with to work through all the challenges
Yeah.
because it's difficult. So you need to learn persistence and the ability to support those around you to help them persist when they're struggling as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting career to get into. I'm really interested in that career, and probably many of our viewers are also really interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you want to go into academia specifically, getting involved in a research lab as quickly as possible would be what I recommend. You don't necessarily have to get into it your freshman year of college, but trying to get your foot in the door in your sophomore year, I think
How would
is a
you go
good
about
idea.
kind of finding like a lab to join? Like, what would be your steps for that?
Yeah. So, one, start taking classes, and so maybe there's a professor that you really liked, and you ask her, him, about their research and how you can get involved. Then there's also about your university websites. Almost all of them have sections dedicated to what research is going on. So you would kind of hop on the website and start poking around at what people have, and asking around
Yeah.
type of stuff. So yeah, it takes some legwork.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually, right, you're at the university and you've got someone that you want to work with, and you start bugging them that you want to work in their lab and you want to volunteer in their lab, then they'll find something for you to do.
Yeah, be persistent.
Yeah. And a lot of universities also have undergraduate research programs. So at Portland State, that's another one of my roles at Portland State is I run the undergraduate research program for the College of Engineering. And so we take applications, and then there's a summer 10-week program where you get placed in a lab and do research in that lab.
That's really
That's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've come a long way from your studying days, obviously. And so if you could go back to college or maybe even high school, what would you have learned more about based on what you know now about technology?
It's not something that's really crossed my mind before. What would I learn more about? How about like what maybe emerging technologies would I kind of encourage students to think about? Maybe a little bit more on the programming side of things. I wanted to go in mechanical engineering. I was like, I don't need a program. You need a program in every engineering discipline. And there's maybe a little bit less of it compared to computer science. But learning programming in general, not only it becomes a very powerful tool for solving problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for educating young minds like ourselves in robotics. We're always like curious on how our work impacts the community around us. So we were wondering about how your role impacts your community.
Yeah, so from the obvious sense, I'm teaching and mentoring students to then kind of go out and to their own jobs. But then kind of from the research aspect, we're really looking to develop a next generation of control systems and robotic systems that can really integrate well in human environments. Things that are very adaptable, things that are safe to work around people because they've got kind of softer components than motors. And we're really trying to learn a lot more about how the nervous system works, which has big implications in health. So as we learn more about how neurons are connected in our modeling work, how muscles work, we can develop better models of our nervous system. And we can also start to look at diseases and how they affect the nervous system and motor control. Things like Parkinson's, for example. And we can test how we think those are affecting the nervous system throughout. We can look at how we can solve those problems in a virtual environment, in a robotic environment, without doing, unethical tests on humans.
Mm-hmm. So I'm learning about psychology in like school. So I was wondering if that plays like a big role in your guys' like research.
Hmm. Not specifically in our research, in my lab, but there are research groups in robotics that build models of kind of the nervous system in the brain and how different brain areas interact and learn things. And um, I don't know, trying to think if there are people really looking at emotions a little bit. There are a few groups kind of looking at kind of more kind of survival behaviors and how like hunger and avoidance of light and looking for water and needing shelter and how all these conflicting things, right, will cause you to change your behavior and cause you to change doing different things. So there are a few groups that have started developing models of that and implementing them in robotic systems.
That's
Ah,
really interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
help you like learn maybe more about like biology because it helps you understand about like how land animals like act and that's really cool actually. That's very
Yeah. Yeah. The nervous system is right pretty complicated and like you've got whole sorts of layers for different things, right? You got your brain making all these decisions and your spinal cord carrying out the actions. And the research in my lab is more about the spinal cord and how it carries out the actions.
Have you guys thought about doing like underwater creatures? Like have you
Yes, I love fish.
yeah.
Um, yeah, we've had capstone teams develop some kind of fish robots. Um, None of them have quite survived a water test yet, but uh, we've got some cool designs for like fish tails to swim.
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, we were interviewing actually another professor maybe like a couple weeks ago. He's an underwater robotics professor, and he's tested stuff like using oil in their robots to avoid water getting to their circuits and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard about
Yeah.
that as kind of a way to help keep the water out.
So I was wondering, there's a lot of like kids like maybe they're in for our organization or not. They're like just like trying to like start a career in like STEM fields.
Mhm.
What kinds of like advice would you give like just like maybe a kid who's just like wants to get started like learning about STEM?
Yeah, I think that getting your hands on some equipment, right? There's lots of STEM toys out there to play with. Things from building kits um, and even subscription building kits. And that's a great way to just kind of get started. The first robotics, is an
Yeah.
amazing program for kind of learning more about all sorts of different areas in kind of the engineering. Um, yeah, I mean, libraries have
There's a lot of resources.
a lot of resources. There's a few good online websites where you can order kits that are kind of more up your area, like Spark Fun and Adafruit. I recommend a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I know it can be hard to start your journey in pursuing STEM. What resources would you recommend to learn more about robotics and STEM? That's kind of connecting to the last question.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any more, let's talk.
Um, I don't think I have a lot more things. One of the things I will mention about kind of STEM careers, to be ready for is that there will be setbacks. So be prepared to be disappointed. I've gotten laid off from a job. So, and, you'll get things wrong, you'll break things.
No part of it.
It's part of it. And you got to keep moving forward, right? There are failures, behind every successful person. So if you ever fail once or twice or dozens of times, right, that doesn't define you. It's your successes when you keep moving forward.
Yeah, what a nice way to put it. Yeah. So we are actually this year. Oh, if you have any questions for us, you can ask.
That's like
Yeah.
those are like all the questions we had. So if you want to ask us anything, you can ask us. Like if you have any questions in general.
Questions for you.
Like about
Yeah.
what we're doing and anything.
Yeah, what do you find most exciting about what you're doing?
I feel like just like competing and seeing how other people come up with like robots and like their creativity and how they like apply it to their robot and how people come up with like different ideas and competing with like other people and stuff. I find it like really interesting and enjoyable.
For me, it's just kind of like the rush of like the competition, like everybody has their own robot. You kind of want to be the best. So it's just really fun to like be out there, compete with all these other really smart people your age and meet new people. So I really like those competition days. Those are my favorites.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just really a great way to get yourself out there at a young age because, kids can start from the age of what, 13?
They can
12 or
start,
13,
yeah.
from 7th grade to your senior year in high school. So, there's often like definitely like a vast arrangement of like age groups, but it really just lets you get out there. Yeah, I think that's really what I like the most.
Thank you so much for your time. Those were all the questions we had. We would love having like a robotics consultation with you in the future.
Yeah, maybe you guys
So-
can come to see our robot and see how it's functioning for, our season this year. Yeah.
You guys are interested.
Yeah.
Um,
Send me another email.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Alex.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of STEM.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found inspiration in the stories shared.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode.
Stay curious and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.